Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Lloyd, and in this video I'm going to talk about what you should be considering when sourcing native plants and seeds to add to your garden. And if you're watching this video, I can only assume that you know a lot of the benefits of native plants, but real quickly, they're adapted to local climates and soils, they require less water, fertilizer, and maintenance, they support biodiversity by providing food and habitat for native pollinators, birds, and other wildlife. Native plants improve soil health, prevent erosion, and filter water, and contribute to a healthier ecosystem. Their deep roots help manage stormwater and reduce flooding, and additionally, they're resilient to local pest diseases and minimize the need for pesticides or any other inputs. I think they're pretty great, and they've kind of been my obsession for the past few years, so I know a thing or two, but by all means, if you have anything else that you can add to the conversation, please put it in a comment. I'm not going to claim that I know everything. But let's start off. The very first thing that if you want to add more native plants to your garden, your yarden, because you know all of these benefits, well, be sure that those plants that you're adding are actually native. I would caution against getting anything that's called a wildflower seed mix that you find at your big box stores, because many times it is filled with lots of plants that, yeah, they might be wildflowers, but not necessarily native to your area or even your country. So stay away from those. I would only purchase something that has both the common name, but more importantly, the Latin name of the plant. Now, I've been trying to brush up on my Latin names of plants. I'm still working on there, and they can be, a little intimidating, but you really want that Latin name because a lot of times, multiple plants can have the exact same common name, but they're only going to have that one unique Latin name. Another reason it's important to have the Latin name of a plant is because sometimes, a genus will have a lot of different species in there, and some of those species might not only be not native to your area, but could be potentially invasive. I made this mistake myself. When we moved to our new house, I knew that I wanted to add a whole bunch of native plants. We went to a local nursery and they had milkweed. They had milkweed plants. And of course, milkweed is great for the monarchs. So I wanted to, plant some milkweed. Well, unfortunately, I planted tropical milkweed. Tropical milkweed is not native to my area. It can spread and is actually somewhat aggressive and invasive. So I made a mistake, and now I've been trying to eradicate it wherever it pops up. So make sure that that plant is native to your area, and the best way to do that again is having the Latin name. In my winter sowing video where I talked about easy ways to start a whole bunch of native plants, I mentioned my tip for searching. I type in the Latin name of the plant, followed by native range, do a quick search, and it pulls up a map from BONAP. BONAP stands for Biota of North America Program. So these are maps that show where in the US, this is US focused, those plants grow, and you can see down to the county level. I necessarily don't have to know that the plant is native to my county. If it's a surrounding county or close by, I'm personally okay with it, but if you want true native types to your county, this is a good way to find out. So make sure it has the Latin name. And then in addition to that, you may find things, especially in your garden centers, your Lowe's, your Home Depot, your Menards, wherever you might shop, where you'll find a plant that maybe is a native plant. Take a coneflower, for instance. The Echinacea purpurea, the purple coneflower. Well, you will find a lot of times that there are cultivars of the native plants, sometimes called nativars. And when you look on the tag, you may see, a name in quotes, like I think a Cheyenne is one type. It's an orange coneflower cultivar. Now, those are not going to be what you want if you really want those ecosystem benefits of feeding wildlife and doing all the good stuff that I talked about up front. So be on the lookout for anything that has the name in quotes or a trademark if you look at that plant label. So the plant itself may be a native plant, but it's a cultivar, and those are not what you want. So we've talked about making sure that it's native to your area, avoiding cultivars or nativars. And the best thing that you could absolutely do is finding a local ecotype plant, because some native plants have a very, very large range. Like, take this map of the black-eyed Susan, its distribution, the Rudbeckia hirta. The plants that are growing up at the very tippy top of Maine are going to have very different sets of genetics in their genetic pool than those growing at the very bottom of Florida. They're very different conditions, different levels of humidity, sunlight, cold. So those plants are going to be very different. So if at all possible, you can get local ecotype genetics to add to your garden, that's the best thing that you could do. It's not always possible. Now, I have purchased seeds from areas that are not all that close to Kentucky just because I couldn't source them locally. So don't think that you have to do that, but that is the best of the best. So if it's at all possible, do that. And I'm going to talk about how you can do that now. So the first thing that you could do is to gather seeds from the wild or from other people's private properties that have native plants that will allow you to do that. When going out into the wild and harvesting seeds, you need to make sure that you're complying with all the laws of your area. A lot of places like state parks and national parks prohibit any sort of collection. So make sure that you know what you need to do, if you need a permit, if it's even allowed. And if you can't comply with all of these things, look for reputable nurseries or seed suppliers specializing in native plants in your area. Do a quick Google search. I was surprised to see how many different native nurseries were close to me. So, I could give those recommendations for you. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, but those are going to be very different for wherever you're living. So do a quick search and see if there's anybody who is specializing. You might be very surprised. The best thing that I have found for me is a local native plant group. Go on Facebook or Meetup or wherever you may find groups in your area and see if there are other people who are interested in native plants and see if they do something called a seed swap. There's several in my area which have been absolutely amazing for me going out and getting seeds for free. Because once you have an established population of native plants on your property, they produce a whole lot of seeds, which you can sustainably harvest and then give to others to expand the population in your local area. Because it's great to add native plants to your property, but if you're the only one within several miles that has your own little homegrown national park, it's not going to do much. You're going to be an island in a sea of lawn. So if you really want to add all those benefits that native plants can bring, you want to ensure that your neighbors in your community are joining in as well. And those native plant groups I have found in my area to be an excellent resource. So seek them out. And they're great for finding the expert guidance. If you're just getting started, you probably have a whole lot of questions. It's fine. I still have a whole lot of questions. So I go to Google and I go to these Facebook groups and I pop them in, saying, what have other people tried? Maybe I've got a particularly wet area on my property and I'm looking to add a shrub. What would be good? Oh, a button bush? Button bush sounds great. I'm going to add a button bush there. Local groups know your climate, so they're going to be one of the best bets for you. So these are all the things that you should consider when adding native plants to your property, when sourcing those plants and those seeds. If you have any additional questions about native landscaping, propagating native plants, anything at all, let me know in a comment down below. If I don't have the answer off the top of my head, I'll do a little research and find you a good answer, because I am absolutely passionate about this stuff and I want to learn more myself. So hit me with all your questions. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Tyler Lloyd, and I wish you the very best. Happy planting. Bye.